Salutations all. We give the absolutely tired update. Uh, since the last time we were doing things, it's better. It's better. It's in some ways it's also far more difficult. Um, have not dealing with one counselor, which was fine, but have not heard back from them. Haven't heard anything from the other counselor for a couple of months now, sadly. Um, I will be making more phone calls tomorrow. Made a bunch today. Um, it's kind of win some, lose some right now. Uh, we've had some things that kind of surfaced and we dealt with it, and then some things that submerged that we're not sure how to deal with. Um, I came across some disturbing things from a would have been a destructive person in our system, and cleared all that out. I realized, looking at all those things, I'm I'm not proud of what was done. I'm not proud of that person. I genuinely believe that she did things within her rights, and she was always very individualistic, and it was really not in the system's best interest, but in her own best interest. And over the years, I think we just kind of learned to shut down anything that was not beneficial to the system, was not beneficial to the core, or the core values. It's, it's just easier to live life if you have very purposed goals, and it's just how it's been. Um, Going back to work, not as an actual, like, in a store kind of thing. Many of us are doing that right now. For us, it has been and always will be online. I mean, since the body took ill 5 years ago. Um, and then coming with the grips of still being, technically speaking, housebound or placebound, and the realities that come with that, and trying not to let it be the thing that eats us. So when it gets too much, you know, we try to rotate so there's not too much. Jessie came back to the surface again, little Jessie, and she was struggling a lot. A part of it is the system gets very lonely at times, and each of us have very individualistic needs, and I think that's just human nature. But it is a struggle, because at least for myself, I find it to be a very selfish human nature, because I get very lonely and I want to be satisfied with what I have. But when what I have is not available, then I get lonely because I don't have that interaction. Um, so there's been some learning things. I feel like there is a lot of trauma that we're still working through, and we will still work through. Um, and there's nothing that can be done with that except to, I wouldn't say accept it, but I would say, realize it's there, but to also realize it's not here in the now. So, it's like being human. It's something you accept something you do, something you are, and you kind of work with it and you go forward as best you can. Um, it's a long list. It's been a long couple of weeks, and we didn't get to do our normal record on Saturday that we're trying to do. We're trying to make it a routine that whoever's up on Saturdays we record for the crystalline spider, but I don't know who's up, so I'm guessing it didn't happen because I'm sitting here on a Monday recording it when I'm not normally the one who does it. Um, as I've said before, I'm not a fan of this. Um, but that said, there is some highlights. Um, Justinian, the rabbit who is hardly up here, as in he does not speak much on the crystalline spider because it takes a lot, and he himself does not generally facilitate or generate the energy for him to be there. That's my job. But I generate the energy for most of the members in the system. But he has returned to work, and he gets to do the things that he does best, and that's amazing. And him returning to work means that there is another door to the outside world that is open to us. One that we not necessarily thought we lost, but we thought we'd been put on the back burner for, but with our own issues. That was, we could not have stepped up to the needs at the time. And that was understandable as well. So for us, at least in my case, I often feel that if I've been helpful, or if one of us has been helpful, and suddenly things change that we are no longer needed, and somebody else does the same thing, if not better, I think there's a, a heaviness of rejection, and then there comes a heaviness of loss, and then the loneliness kicks in. So I think at the end of the day, it all ties into different kinds of loneliness, and I think that is something that we will need to seriously look at and try to process as best we can. Um, but as I was saying before, Justinian has gotten to go back to work. And with him going back to work, that means that I will be returning back to, not in huge ways, but in minor ways, to things I had done once before, which is fine because, frankly, I was glad for the break and I was glad for the silence. Um, there is something to be said about notoriety and something to be said about being well known. It is both a blessing and a curse, and it can be a health, but it can also be a toxicity. And, for myself, I enjoy a kind of passive being known, because passive means it's like, you walk into a place that a group of people know you. They say hi, they interact with you, you feel welcomed, you people, but you belong. I feel if it gets larger than that, it tends to be too much. And then the expectations are too high. Once upon a time, I feel I could have taken those all on and not even blinked an eye. But these days, and maybe it's just the fact that I'm an old owl, I'm not so fond of that anymore. I prefer my quietness, that I'm allowed, that kind of distance between me and the other person going, hey, I know you. My response is, I know you too. We may talk lightly about something, but I don't feel like I have to actually put in more than that. Not if I don't, not like I don't like being around the person or I don't like the person, but it's just, you know, we invest in people, and sometimes when you invest in a person, they expect everything that you're giving them all the time. And when you cannot do that, then there are disappointments all around. So, I have no clue where I was going with any of this. I think the goal was just to simply check in, do an update, do a weekly video like we are trying to do. But I think we're trying to get back into the routine habit of the weekdays, because having the capabilities of, if a person wishes to be on the surface on that day, that's their day. That is set aside just for them. However, with the triggering, there's no controlling that. So whoever's up is up. But we used to have a routine where Monday was my day and Tuesday was Jay's day. Wednesday was Loon's day. Thursday was Alessia's day, Jenna's day. Friday was Jesse's day. Saturday was a floater that usually allowed anybody else who hadn't been up in a while to be up, like say Humbert. And then Saturday was switched to Friday, so then Friday became Humbert's day. And then little Jessie was up whenever she could sneak through, or there was a floater day. So then we made Wednesdays and Saturdays be the floater days. And then it kind of got confusing after a while, because with the fact we were getting triggered so often, it was like the calendar no longer existed. So, like the writing that I strive to maintain every single day, I'm hoping we can once again return to having days of the week that are specified for every person in the system who wants one, even if they don't use that day. They're there for them. So much to do, so little time. Or as Willy Wonka would say, so much time, so little to do. I don't need to strike and reverse that. But thank you for listening, and thank you all for your support. And here's the next time we post.